Captain stared at the empty space through the bridge window. The stars looked beautiful, but something was very wrong. Where were the other ships? Where were the aliens who promised to help them? 3 days ago, the Galactic Coalition fleet had been right beside them. 20 massive alien ships, glowing with strange lights and humming with power humans could barely understand. They had promised to guide the human colony ship to a new world, a safe world, a world where 300,000 sleeping humans could start fresh. Now there was nothing, just silence and darkness. "Captain, I've tried every frequency," said from the communication station. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted the controls. Nothing, not even static, it's like they just vanished. Took a deep breath. She had been a ship captain for 15 years, but never anything like this. The Eternal Dawn was the biggest ship humanity had ever built. It carried everything needed to start a new civilization on another planet. Food, tools, seeds, medical supplies, and 300,000 people frozen in sleep pods, dreaming of their new home. "Keep trying," said, keeping her voice steady. "Check the navigation systems. Tell me we still have the coordinates to New Haven." Engineer's fingers flew across her console. Her face grew pale as data scrolled across the screen. "Captain, the navigation database is empty." "What do you mean empty?" "I mean someone wiped it clean. All the star charts the Coalition gave us, all the coordinates, the route to New Haven, everything is gone." Looked up, fear clear in her eyes. "We don't know where we are, we don't know where we're going, we have nothing." The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at their stations, the terrible truth sinking in. They were lost in space with no map, no guide, and no idea where their promised new world was located. "Wake Doctor," ordered, "and bring me whoever knows the most about alien technology. We need answers now." 20 minutes later, sat in the conference room with 5 other crew members, had brought up the ship's logs on the main screen. What they showed made his blood run cold. "This message came in 4 days ago," explained, playing the recording. "It was hidden in a secondary system, buried deep. I think they didn't want us to find it easily." The screen showed an alien face, one of the Coalition leaders. His skin was blue and smooth, his eyes large and black. He spoke in the strange musical language of his people, but the computer translated his words into text. "All Coalition vessels, immediate recall to core systems. Extragalactic threat confirmed approaching from Vector. All resources directed to home world defense. Secondary protocols enacted. Expendable assets abandoned. This includes the human colony ship. Their primitive technology makes them unsuitable for rescue operations. Probability of human survival, less than 3%. This decision is logged and approved by the High Council." The recording ended. Nobody spoke for a long moment. "Expendable assets," Doctor finally said, her voice quiet and angry. "That's what we are to them, expendable." "They knew," said the navigator. "They knew they were leaving us to die, and they did it anyway." Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars sparkled, beautiful and uncaring. Somewhere out there, the aliens were running home to save themselves. They had taken their technology, their knowledge, their protection. They left humanity with a broken ship in the middle of nowhere. "How bad is it?" asked. "Give me numbers, I need to know what we're working with." Pulled up a status report. "We have fuel for 1 jump, maybe 1.5 if we're very careful. Food supplies will last 8 months if we ration strictly. The pods are stable, but they need constant power. If we lose power, everyone dies within hours." "Weapons?" asked. "Basic defensive systems only, nothing that could fight off a real threat." "Communication range?" "Limited. The Coalition took all the long-range equipment. We can maybe broadcast a few light years, but nobody's out here to hear us." Doctor studied the star charts they did have. Basic maps that humans had made before meeting the aliens. Simple, crude, but at least something. According to these old maps, we're somewhere in the outer edge of the galaxy, far from Earth, far from any known colonies. The coalition jumped us way out here, probably to save time getting to New Haven. But without the final coordinates, New Haven might as well not exist, said. We could search for 1,000 years and never find it. Turned back to face her crew. They looked scared, tired, ready to give up, but she saw something else too, anger, the same anger burning in her own chest. Here's what we're not going to do, said firmly. We're not going to wake everyone up and cause a panic. We're not going to sit here and wait to die. And we're definitely not going to prove those aliens right about us being too primitive to survive. What are we going to do? Asked. We're going to survive, said. Wake up 20 more crew members. Engineers, scientists, our best people. We'll work in shifts. We'll figure out how to use every scrap of technology on this ship. We'll find food where there shouldn't be food. We'll navigate using methods the aliens probably forgot existed. She looked at each person in the room. They called us expendable. They thought we'd just drift here and die quietly. But they forgot something important about humans. We don't die quietly. We don't give up. And when someone pushes us down, we get back up angrier and stronger than before. Smiled for the first time in days. You want us to prove them wrong. I want us to survive, corrected. And then, maybe someday, I want us to look those aliens in the eye and show them exactly what humans can do when you leave us for dead. Doctor nodded slowly. It won't be easy. It might not even be possible. Nothing worth doing ever is, said. Get to work, everyone. We have 300,000 people counting on us. Let's show the galaxy what abandoned humans can accomplish. As the crew filed out of the conference room, stayed behind looking at the stars. Somewhere out there was a new home. Somewhere out there was hope. They just had to be smart enough, tough enough, and stubborn enough to find it. And if there was one thing humans had always been, it was stubborn. 2 months had passed since the coalition abandoned them. The eternal dawn looked different now. Crew members rushed through hallways with purpose. Lights burned late in every workshop and laboratory. The ship hummed with desperate activity. Stood in the engineering bay, staring at a pile of broken alien technology. When the coalition left, they had taken almost everything useful. But they left behind damaged equipment, things they considered trash, pieces too broken to matter, junk that primitive humans could never fix. That was their mistake. Hand me the plasma torch, said Taminu, her assistant engineer. He was young, barely 22, but clever with his hands. Together they had been taking apart alien devices piece by piece, trying to understand how they worked. This is insane, you know, Minu said as he worked. Coalition technology is supposed to be centuries ahead of us. We're not supposed to understand it. Supposed to is just another way of saying nobody tried hard enough, replied. She pulled out a glowing crystal from the alien engine component. Look at this. The aliens use it as a power regulator. It's complicated and fancy and probably costs a fortune to make. Okay, so it does the same job as a simple resistor circuit, something we've been using for 200 years. They over-engineered it, held up the crystal. They made it complicated because they could, not because they needed to. That's their weakness. Minu's eyes widened. You mean we can replace their parts with our technology? Better, we can mix them. Use our simple parts where they work better, keep their advanced parts where we need them. Make something new, something that actually works for us. Grinned. The aliens thought we were too stupid to understand their technology. They didn't consider that maybe their technology was too stupid for us to bother with. Over the next weeks, team worked like. They pulled apart alien power couplings and combined them with human battery systems. They took alien sensors and connected them to human computers. It was messy. It was ugly. It definitely wasn't how the coalition would do it. But it worked. Captain, you need to see this, called over the communication system one morning. Arrived in the engine room to find standing next to a strange machine. It looked like someone had welded human and alien technology together with no care for how it appeared. "What am I looking at?" asked. "Our new hybrid engine," said proudly. "It uses coalition antimatter containment, but with human fuel injection and our own cooling system. It's more efficient than the original alien design." "How much more efficient?" "We now have fuel for 3 jumps instead of 1. Felt hope rise in her chest for the first time in months. 3 jumps, that gives us options. "It gets better," continued. "I think we can apply the same principle to other systems. Life support shields, sensors, everything. The aliens built for perfection. We're building for survival. Turns out survival is better." While worked on technology was solving a different problem. The food situation was getting critical. 8 months of supplies sounded like a lot, but not when you were lost in space with no resupply. Stood in what used to be the ship's recreation area. Now it was filled with rows of plants growing under bright lights. Tomatoes, lettuce, beans, rice, potatoes. Every available space was used. "The coalition told us hydroponics were inefficient," explained to Doctor, who had come to inspect her work. "They said their food synthesis technology was superior, cleaner, more logical." "But we don't have their synthesis technology anymore," pointed out. "Exactly, so I went back to basics, Earth basics." Touched a tomato plant gently. "Humans have been growing food for 10,000 years. We got good at it, really good. We learned how to grow food in deserts, in frozen tundra, even in space stations with terrible conditions." She showed her calculations. "I'm using vertical farming, rotating crops and composting all waste. I've turned every unused room into a growing space. The gym, the theaters, even some of the cargo bays. In 3 months, we'll be producing enough food to feed the awakened crew indefinitely." Indefinitely was impressed. "As long as we have water and power, we can eat. I've extended our timeline from 8 months to over 2 years, and that's being conservative," smiled. "The coalition thought their way was better because it was more advanced, but sometimes the old ways work because they're proven. They last." The biggest challenge came from the navigator. He sat in the navigation room surrounded by screens showing star patterns. No alien computers to help him. No advanced algorithms. Just stars, mathematics, and human stubbornness. "This is impossible," said Sumi, the medical officer, watching him work. "How can you map space without the coalition star charts?" "The same way humans did it for centuries," replied, pointing at the screen. "See that pulsar? It spins exactly 1.337 times per second. Always has, always will. And that supernova remnant, it expands at a measurable rate. Those 2 quasars, they're at a specific distance from each other." He pulled up more data. "The aliens use quantum navigation systems that plot courses through subspace. Very fancy, very fast, but they forgot about basic astronomy. Stars don't move quickly. Pulsars are reliable. The cosmic background radiation has patterns. If you know what to look for, the universe is full of landmarks." "How long will it take?" asked Sumi. "To map our current position, I already did it. We're about 2,000 light-years from Earth, out in the Perseus arm of the galaxy." Zoomed in on his map. "To find a safe planet, that's harder. But I'm analyzing every star system in range. Looking for the right kind of sun, the right position in the habitable zone." He worked 18 hours a day, comparing spectral data, analyzing light signatures, building a map of local space using nothing but observation and math. It was slow work, ancient work, the kind of astronomy humans had done when they were still stuck on one planet. But it was working. One night called an emergency meeting, and gathered in the navigation room. On the screen was something strange. "What are those?" asked, pointing at a series of faint signals. "I don't know," admitted. "They're old, really old, millions of years maybe. They're transmitting on frequencies the coalition doesn't use anymore, probably why they never noticed them." Ancient signals leaned closer. From what? Beacons, I think. Someone built them a long time ago and left them running. They form a pattern, almost like a map. Study the pattern. Where do they lead? That's the interesting part. They point to a region of space the Coalition marked as dead zone in our old records. They avoid it completely. Nothing there, they said, not worth exploring. But if someone built beacons pointing to it, said slowly, then maybe there's something there the Coalition couldn't see, finished, or didn't want to see. Highlighted a region on his map. With our 3 jumps we could follow the beacons. It's a risk. We might find nothing. Or we might find what we've been looking for, said. She looked at her team. 2 months ago they were scared and ready to give up. Now they had hybrid engines, sustainable food, and a possible destination. They had done what the aliens said was impossible. Set course for the first beacon, ordered. Let's see what else the galaxy has been hiding. The first jump took them to the ancient beacon. It floated in empty space, a strange metal structure covered in symbols nobody could read. It was older than any human civilization, maybe older than humans themselves. It's still working after all this time, said with wonder in her voice. She ran scans from the eternal dawn, careful not to get too close. Whatever built this knew how to make things last. Studied the data flowing across her screens. The beacon wasn't just sending a signal, it was sending information, lots of information. It's a message, or maybe instructions. The language is nothing like what the Coalition uses. Can you translate it? Asked. Give me time. Linguistics isn't my specialty, but I can work with on this. He's good with patterns. Downloaded every bit of data the beacon transmitted. Captain, there are more beacons. This one is pointing to the next location. How many total? At least 5 that I can detect. They form a chain, each one leading to the next. Made a decision. We follow them, all of them. I want to know what's at the end of this trail. Over the next 3 weeks, they jumped from beacon to beacon. Each one was the same. Ancient, still functioning, covered in strange symbols. And each one pointed them deeper into the region the Coalition called dead space. Worked day and night on translating the messages. She filled her quarters with papers covered in notes and symbols. Helped her, finding mathematical patterns in the alien language. Slowly, piece by piece, they began to understand. It's not just one message, explained to during a briefing. Each beacon adds to the story. It's like a history lesson. History of what? An old civilization, very old. They called themselves the Builders, pulled up images on the screen. Millions of years ago, they were part of something like the Coalition, a big group of alien species working together, but there was a split. What kind of split? Asked. A philosophical one. The main civilization started focusing on efficiency, logic, pure computational thinking. They began removing creativity from their culture. Art was inefficient. Individual thought was messy. Different ideas caused conflicts, so they standardized everything. Continued, but some members disagreed. They believed creativity was important. They thought diversity made them stronger, not weaker. When the main civilization tried to force everyone to think the same way, these rebels left. They built these beacons to find others like them. Others who valued being different, said quietly. Exactly. The beacons are a test. They use old technology, simple signals. They're designed to be found only by species who still use basic methods, who still look at the universe with curiosity instead of just pure logic. Brought up the star map. The last beacon is 3 days away, and according to the messages, that's where the Builders went to start over. The 5th beacon was different from the others. It was bigger, brighter, and it orbited a yellow star, a star very much like Earth's sun. As the eternal dawn approached, sensors began detecting something incredible. Captain said, his voice shaking with excitement. I'm reading 5 planets in the habitable zone. 5. and they all have oxygen atmospheres. The bridge erupted in shocked voices. Everyone talked at once, raised her hand for silence. Confirm that reading, make absolutely sure. Checked and rechecked his instruments. Confirmed. 5 Earth-like planets, all of them perfect for human life. There's water, vegetation, stable climates. Captain, any one of these worlds is better than the new haven the Coalition promised us. How is this possible? Asked. 5 perfect planets in one system. That's impossible odds. Unless someone made them that way, said. She was studying new data from the beacon. The builders didn't just find these planets. They transformed them, terraformed them over millions of years. They created paradise worlds, then hid them from the rest of the galaxy. Stared at the planets on the screen. They looked beautiful, green and blue and perfect. Why hide them? Why not tell others? Because the main civilization would have taken them, explained. Made them efficient, standardized. The builders wanted these worlds to stay wild, creative, diverse, so they hid them in dead space where logical species wouldn't look. They left the beacons for anyone creative enough to find them. Take us to the nearest planet, ordered. Slowly, carefully, I want full scans. They designated the planet as Haven Prime. As they entered orbit, the sensors showed more surprises. Cities. Intact cities covering parts of the surface. Old buildings that looked ancient but somehow still stood strong. There's no one down there, said Sumi, studying the life signs. Plants and animals, but no intelligent life. The cities are empty. What happened to the builders? Asked Minyu. Had found more messages, these ones newer. According to this, they left. After millions of years living here, they evolved, changed. They say they moved beyond physical form, ascended to a higher existence. That's not possible, said. Maybe not for the Coalition, but the builders were different. They valued growth and change. Maybe they grew so much they didn't need bodies anymore, smiled. And they left all of this behind. The cities, the technology, the knowledge, everything. Left it for who? Asked. For whoever finds it. For whoever is creative enough, curious enough, stubborn enough to follow old beacons into dead space. Looked at. They left it for species like us. Stood up and walked to the window. She looked down at Haven Prime, at the green forests and blue oceans and empty cities waiting below. 5 perfect worlds, ancient technology, knowledge spanning millions of years, all of it just sitting here, hidden and waiting. The Coalition had abandoned humanity to die. They had called humans primitive and expendable, too simple to survive, too backward to matter. And in abandoning them, the aliens had given humanity the greatest gift possible: freedom to search, freedom to explore, freedom to find what the advanced species never could. Prepare landing teams, ordered. We're going down to explore, and send a message to wake the other senior officers. I think it's time we started waking up our colonists. All of them? Asked. Smiled. All 300,000. We found our new home. We found something better than New Haven. We found what the builders left behind, and I think we're exactly who they were waiting for. As the crew rushed to prepare, pulled up one final message from the beacon. The last words of the builders, written millions of years ago, waiting for someone to read them. We leave this for those who think differently, for those who solve problems with creativity, not just computation, for those who value the individual as much as the group, for those who refuse to give up even when the galaxy abandons them. These worlds are yours. This knowledge is yours. Grow, create, thrive. Show the universe what happens when creativity and determination meet opportunity. Make us proud. Read it aloud to the bridge crew. When she finished, there was silence. Then started laughing, not from humor, but from joy and disbelief and pure human stubbornness. They abandoned us, said. The Coalition threw us away like garbage. And we found this, added. We found paradise because they abandoned us. Looked at her crew, at the planet below, at the future spreading before them. Then we better make sure we deserve it. The builders believed in us before we even existed. The least we can do is prove them right. The Eternal Dawn began its descent toward Haven Prime, carrying 300,000 sleeping humans toward a future nobody had imagined possible. A future they found not because someone showed them the way, but because they refused to stop looking. The first humans to walk on Haven Prime were 12 scouts led by herself. They landed in a clearing near one of the ancient cities. As the shuttle doors opened, warm air rushed in, carrying the smell of flowers and growing things. Breathable, confirmed Sumi, checking her instruments. The air is perfect. 21% oxygen, normal pressure, no toxins. We don't even need masks. Stepped onto the soil of their new world. It felt soft under her boots. Above, 2 moons hung in a purple-blue sky. Around them, trees with silver bark grew tall and straight. In the distance, the builder city rose up, its towers still standing after millions of years. "It's beautiful," whispered. She knelt down and touched the soil. "Rich, perfect for farming, I could grow anything here." They walked toward the city cautiously. The buildings were made of some material that looked like white stone but felt warm to the touch. The architecture was strange, with curved walls and spiraling towers. Nothing like human buildings, but beautiful in its own way. "Look at this," called out. She stood in front of a large building with doors that still worked. Inside, they found rooms filled with devices and machines. It's all still functioning. After millions of years, the power is still on. Examine the machines carefully. The builders use something like solar power, but much more advanced. It collects energy from the star and stores it in crystalline matrices. It's self-maintaining. It will probably run forever. Over the next hours, they explored deeper. They found libraries filled with data crystals, workshops with tools that still worked, laboratories with equipment far beyond anything humans had created, gardens where plants still grew, maintained by automated systems. But it was Sumi who found the most important discovery. In a building near the city center, she found a chamber with a glowing sphere in the middle. When she touched it, the sphere came alive, projecting images and text into the air. "Captain, you need to see this now," Sumi called over the radio. When arrived, the sphere was showing a holographic person. It looked vaguely humanoid but with features that were definitely alien. The hologram spoke in the builder language, but text appeared in real time, translating into English. "If you are seeing this, you have found our worlds. Welcome. This archive contains everything we learned in our millions of years of existence. Science, art, philosophy, technology. We give it freely to you." The hologram paused, then continued. "We know you are not like those who dominate the galaxy. You think differently. You create. You question. You refuse to conform. These are the qualities that led you here. These are the qualities we valued above all else." Was already downloading the data. "Captain, this is incredible. Medical knowledge, engineering principles, agricultural techniques. There's information here that would take humanity centuries to develop on our own." The hologram spoke again. "A warning. Do not let this knowledge make you like those who abandon the path of creativity. Technology is a tool, not a replacement for imagination. Efficiency is useful, but not at the cost of beauty. Logic has its place, but so does art and emotion and the messy, wonderful chaos of individual thought. Take what we leave you. Use it to build something new, something that combines your nature with our knowledge. Show the galaxy that being different is not a weakness. It is the greatest strength any species can possess." The hologram faded. The sphere went dark, but it had given them access to everything. The complete knowledge of a civilization millions of years old, now available to humanity. Touch the sphere gently. "We're going to need more people down here, a lot more people." Over the next weeks, the awakening began. 300,000 humans emerged from sleep to discover they were not lost in space. They were home, a home more perfect than anyone had dreamed. The colony spread quickly. Humans were good at building. They set up homes in the ancient city, restoring some buildings and constructing new ones. Began massive farming operations in the valleys. Engineers studied the builder technology, learning how to combine it with human innovation. They named the settlement New Earth City. Within 6 months, it had grown from a small camp to a thriving town of 50,000 people. The other colonists spread out to explore the rest of Haven Prime and the 4 other habitable planets. On Haven 2nd, they found mountains rich with minerals and built mining operations. Haven 3rd became agricultural land, where supervised the planting of earth crops alongside native plants. Haven 4th had vast oceans perfect for fishing and aquaculture. But it was Haven 5th that provided the biggest surprise. Led an expedition there and found something the builders had left specifically for new arrivals. A massive shipyard, still functional, with designs for spacecraft built using builder principles. They left us everything we need, reported back to. Not just homes and food, but the ability to travel, to explore, to keep growing. Stood in the governor's office in New Earth City. Through the window, she could see people walking in the streets. Humans laughing, working, building lives on a world that was theirs. Children played in parks. Markets sold food grown in alien soil. Scientists collaborated with engineers, combining human creativity with builder knowledge. 1 year after landing, received a report from. The engineer looked tired but happy. "Captain, we've done it. The first human-built ship using hybrid technology. We combined builder designs with human engineering. It's faster than anything in the Coalition fleet." "How many can we build?" "With the shipyard on Haven 5th, we could build 100 within a year, 1,000 within 5 years, grinned. "The builders left us the tools, we just had to figure out how to use them." Brought medical news. "We're healthier here than on Earth. Something about Haven Prime's atmosphere or soil or both. Life expectancy is increasing. Diseases we struggled with on Earth are curing themselves. The builders designed these worlds perfectly." The population grew not just from the original colonists, but from new arrivals. Had sent messages back to Earth with the navigation data. The route through the beacons was now known. More colony ships were coming, bringing millions more humans to the Haven system. 2 years after landing, New Earth City held 2 million people. 7 cities had been founded across the 3 planets humans had settled so far. Farms produced more food than they needed. Factories built new technology every day. Schools taught children using both human knowledge and builder archives. Walked through the Hall of Memory, a building humans had constructed to remember their journey. On the walls were the names of every person who had traveled on the Eternal Dawn. In the center was a monument with a simple inscription. "The galaxy abandoned us. We survived. We thrived. We became more than they imagined possible." She stood there, thinking about how far they had come. From a lost ship in dead space to a civilization on 5 perfect worlds. From 300,000 scared people to millions building a future. And it was only the beginning. "Governor," said, entering the hall. He was older now with gray in his hair, but his eyes were still sharp. "We're detecting ships entering the system. Coalition vessels." Felt her stomach tighten. "How many?" 20. "It's a fleet. They're broadcasting a message asking who we are and what we're doing in restricted space." Restricted laughed without humor. "They marked this as dead space. They told everyone there was nothing here. They're detecting our energy signatures, the active builder technology. They want answers." Looked at the monument one more time. Then she straightened her uniform. "Gather the council. Wake up Admiral and tell him to prepare the defense fleet. The Coalition abandoned us once. They don't get to tell us what to do now." As she walked toward the government building, thought about what was coming. The aliens had thrown humanity away. They had called humans too primitive to save, too expendable to matter. Now those same aliens were back. and they were about to discover exactly what humans had built in the 2 years since being abandoned. They were about to learn that the species they left to die had not only survived, but had found something the Coalition had searched for and never discovered. The conversation with the Coalition would be interesting, smiled grimly. After everything humanity had been through, after all they had built and learned and created, she was actually looking forward to it. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first warship built from builder designs. Around him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. He could see the Coalition fleet hanging in orbit above Haven Prime. 20 ships, each one massive and powerful. 2 years ago, had been a systems engineer on the Eternal Dawn. Now he commanded a vessel that made those Coalition ships look outdated. "Status report," ordered. "Their weapons are powered but not locked on," reported the tactical officer. "They're scanning us. Heavy scans, they seem confused." Confused. "Their sensors can't figure out what our ships are made of. The hull material doesn't match anything in their databases. Neither does our power signature." Smiled slightly. That made sense. The Defiance and its sister ships were built using builder technology mixed with human innovation. The Coalition had never seen anything like it because they had never found the builders' worlds. "Incoming message from the Coalition flagship," announced communications. "Put it through." The change to show an alien face. It was a tall species with green skin and 3 eyes. The alien wore the uniform of a Coalition admiral. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral of the Galactic Coalition. You are operating in restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately and explain how you accessed builder technology." Before could respond, another message came through. This one was text only from the surface. It was from, "Let me handle this, Admiral. Bring them to me." Nodded to his communications officer. "Coalition fleet, this is the human defense ship Defiance. Governor of the Haven Colonial Administration requests a diplomatic meeting on the surface. You and your senior officers are invited to New Earth City." There was a long pause. Then Admiral responded, his voice carefully neutral. "Humans, the colony ship we escorted was lost in dead space 2 years ago. How did you get here?" "That's a conversation better held in person, Admiral. Do you accept the invitation?" Another pause. Knew what the alien was thinking. The Coalition expected to find primitive humans struggling to survive on a barely functioning ship. Instead, they found an established civilization with advanced spacecraft and active builder technology. It had to be shocking. "We accept," finally said. "I will bring 4 officers. We arrive in 1 hour." Waited for the Coalition delegation in the Hall of the Builders. It was a repurposed builder structure that now served as the Colonial Government Center. Tall windows let in natural light. The walls were decorated with both human art and builder relics. It sent a message: we belong here. Beside stood, the core team that had saved them all. The people who had refused to give up when the galaxy abandoned them. The Coalition delegation arrived exactly on time. Admiral led them, along with 2 officers, 1 scientist, and an engineer. They walked into the hall and stopped, staring at everything around them. "Welcome to Haven Prime," said formally. "I am Governor. On behalf of the 2 million human citizens of the Haven system, we acknowledge your presence." Recovered his composure quickly. "Governor, I must admit, we are surprised. When the Coalition fleet left your vessel 2 years ago, we calculated a 3% chance of survival. How did you find this place?" Felt anger flash through her but kept her voice level. "You didn't leave us, Admiral. You abandoned us, deleted our navigation data, took your technology and ran back to your core worlds. You left 300,000 humans to die in deep space." The decision was approved by the High Council. There was an extragalactic threat. Resources had to be prioritized. Said it matter-of-factly, like it was simple math. Humans were deemed too primitive to justify rescue operations. Too primitive, repeated. She gestured around the hall. And yet somehow these primitives found builder worlds that the Coalition has searched for but never discovered. We unlocked builder technology that your scientists thought was impossible to access. We built a civilization on 5 perfect planets while your species ran home scared. The scientist spoke up. His voice was high and musical. How did you find the beacons? Our sensors never detected them. Because your sensors are too advanced, explained. She stepped forward holding a data pad. The beacons transmit on old frequencies using simple signals. Your technology filters them out as noise. But humans still use basic detection methods because we're, as you said, primitive. We saw what you couldn't. Impossible, muttered the engineer. The builder worlds were hidden millions of years ago. No species has ever found them. No advanced species has found them, corrected. That's the whole point. The builders hid these worlds from people like you, from species who rely only on pure logic and efficiency. They left them for species who still use creativity, who still think differently, who still question and explore. Brought up a holographic map of the Haven system. The beacons form a path, a test. Only species who still use old methods, who still look at the universe with curiosity instead of just scanning it with computers, could follow them. The builders designed it that way on purpose. Admiral studied the map. What else did the builders leave? Everything, said simply. Complete archives of their knowledge, technology, medicine, agriculture, philosophy, art, millions of years of accumulated wisdom. And you have access to all of it. The scientist looked hungry. We must study this. The Coalition has searched for builder knowledge for centuries. We demand access to these archives. You demand? His voice went cold. You abandoned us to die. You called us expendable. You deleted our navigation data and left us in dead space. Now you demand things from us. The builder technology belongs to the galaxy, said firmly. It should be shared with the Coalition. We have the right to study it. You have no rights here, said. You're in Haven space, human space. These worlds belong to us now. The builders left them for whoever found them, and we found them, not you, us. She walked toward the Coalition officers. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to return to your fleet. You're going to leave Haven space. And you're going to tell your High Council that humanity is no longer interested in Coalition membership. You can't survive alone, argued. The galaxy is dangerous. You need protection. Like the protection you gave us when you abandoned us, laughed bitterly. We'll take our chances. Added, in 2 years, we've built more than the Coalition promised us in 10. We have 7 cities, sustainable food, advanced ships, and knowledge your species has been searching centuries for. We did it without your help. We'll continue without your interference. And if we refuse to leave, hand moved toward his sidearm. Instantly, the hall doors opened. 20 human security officers entered, armed with weapons built from builder designs. Outside the windows, ships appeared in the sky. The Defiance and 12 other warships, all moving into defensive positions. Then you'll learn why it's a bad idea to threaten humans on their own worlds, said quietly. Admiral's voice came through the communication system. Coalition fleet, this is Admiral. You are outnumbered and your vessels are 2 generations behind our technology. I recommend you accept the governor's terms. The tension in the hall was thick. Looked at his officers, then at the human weapons, then at. Slowly, his hand moved away from his weapon. The High Council will hear of this, said. Good, replied. Make sure they hear it clearly. Tell them that the humans they abandoned are no longer weak. We're no longer primitive. We're no longer asking for their permission or their approval. She walked to the windows and looked out at New Earth City. Tell them that when they left us to die, they gave us the greatest gift possible. They forced us to be strong, to be creative, to find our own path. and we found something better than anything the Coalition could give us. Turned back to the aliens. Tell your High Council that humanity thanks them for abandoning us, because in doing so, they showed us we never needed them in the first place. The Coalition delegation left without another word. Their ships departed Haven space within the hour. On the Defiance, Admiral watched them go. "Do you think they'll come back?" asked his first officer. "Probably with more ships next time. Demands for access to builder technology, threats and negotiations," smiled. "But we'll be ready. We're human. When people push us down, we get back up stronger." On the surface, returned to the Hall of Memory. She stood before the monument, thinking about the journey, from abandoned colonists to a thriving civilization, from expendable refugees to the inheritors of builder knowledge. Joined her. "The Council wants to know if we should increase ship production." "Yes, triple it. The Coalition will be back and we need to be ready." "Are you worried?" Shook her head. 2 years ago we were lost in space with no hope. Now we have 5 worlds, 2 million people, and technology the Coalition can't match. If they want a war, they'll lose. If they want peace, they'll have to accept us as equals. She touched the monument. The Builder archives say they left their old civilization because it stopped valuing creativity and individual thought. They warned us not to make the same mistake, to never let efficiency replace imagination, to never let logic destroy beauty. "And we won't," said, "because that's what makes us human." In the weeks that followed, more colony ships arrived from Earth. The population swelled to 5 million. New cities rose on all 5 planets. Human children went to schools that taught both Earth history and builder knowledge. Scientists made discoveries daily. Artists created works combining human emotion with alien aesthetic. Engineers built machines that mixed crude human determination with elegant builder design. The Haven system became humanity's shining achievement. Proof that being abandoned, being called primitive, being left to die, wasn't the end. It was a beginning. Added a final inscription to the Hall of Memory. It was simple, direct, and completely human. "They called us expendable. They abandoned us to die. They thought we were too primitive to survive. They were wrong. This is humanity's answer to the galaxy. We don't need your permission to be great. We don't need your approval to thrive. We only need the freedom to be ourselves. Thank you for abandoning us. You gave us exactly what we needed." And below that, one last line. "We are humanity. We survive. We create. We thrive. Remember this, galaxy. Remember what happens when you turn away from humans. We find our own way, and we find it better."